going on, Jets fans? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got to talk about it. We're going to talk about the 2026 NFL Draft and if the Jets should consider drafting a quarterback. There's a lot of moving pieces that get involved with this conversation, so we're going to break it down on in full on today's show. But before we do so, if you guys could, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're Darren Muji, as it stands right now, would you draft a quarterback? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. Not saying you even need to have a correct answer on this, but just trying to get the pulse of the fan base here before we dive into it. Would you draft a quarterback? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Now, I will say, first off, this is an incredibly tough conversation to have only 5 games into the season because there are still a lot of moving pieces. Now, I'm not saying the Jets could completely turn the season around, but it's also on the table that maybe the Jets finish off this year, 5-7. They have a record of 5-12, and we're feeling better about the quarterback position because Fields is still under evaluation. Now, I think if it was like, hey, season ended today, like what we have seen from Fields, I would probably be looking to get another guy in there. Maybe it's not like a rookie quarterback. Maybe it's another veteran you could get in there, be that stopgap. But Fields is still under evaluation if he should be the quarterback next year for the New York Jets offense. And then same with the college quarterbacks. Like, we had all this hype around a guy like Garrett Nussmeier coming in the year, Drew Aller coming in the year. He looks even like undraftable at this point. So these college quarterbacks, like a lot of these guys will fly up the draft boards, especially once we really get through this, off-season process, like the scouting combine and all of that. Like we don't know who's going to emerge as the true number one quarterback, but the Jets, as it stands right now, they do have the number one pick in the draft. Obviously, you're only a team without a win in the National Football League, but this does give the Jets in a pretty much a position of power heading into this draft where it's like they control how the draft goes. And, if this were the draft order where the Jets had the number one pick, I would trade down 110%. Like, even if you absolutely love a quarterback, it would still be tough for me to say, hey, that's the right decision for this Jets team to make because, at the end of the day, the Jets just have way too many holes on the roster. Like, you think about it, like the second wide receiver position, the second corner position. You need more help on the defensive line. You still, you like the edge rusher position with Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, but they're still under evaluation. I think the only position group you're feeling good about is the offensive line, but you still need more weapons. You also will probably need a running back if you end up trading Breece Hall at the trade deadline. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I would be really, really considerate over trading the first overall pick. Maybe drop down to number 7, and then you get more draft capital, not maybe only for 2026, but for 2027, you could get another first rounder. And I also fully believe this. Teams need to be ready for a rookie quarterback. I think we find it too often where some fan bases and some organizations, they believe like, oh, once we get the quarterback right, we'll be all good. Like we're seeing the Tennessee Titans. I'm not saying like it was the wrong choice to draft Cam Ward, but I'm sure they're maybe considering right now, man, what if we would have traded back? Maybe the Giants would have potentially given you like their first round pick for the next season. I'm sure they're definitely considering it, but I do think like organizations fail quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations because we have seen like Darnold, Baker, even though Geno stinks this year, but he had a resurgence, back in Seattle. And it really just comes down to like if your team isn't ready to have a rookie quarterback in there, I say you just try to build a more stacked team because, really, you look at like a team like the San Francisco 49ers, when they had a 7th round pick, last pick in the draft, like Brock Purdy, he has looked amazing because of the support system, and he was able to develop there. But if you don't have that support system, it's really tough for these young quarterbacks to develop. And here are the top 5 guys, at least on my list right now. I really don't love any of these options. Like Lenora Sellers, he's a polarizing player. He's got some big playability, but he kind of reminds me of like an Anthony Richardson, like that Justin Fields type of quarterback where he's a great athlete. He'll have wild plays, but he can't just do the stuff that requires you to just be a consistently great quarterback. And then Dante Moore looks awesome. Like he looks nails. He looks like a big game, like winning style of quarterback, which obviously I'm always drawn to those type of guys. But Mendoza in Indiana, he's got a live arm. Garrett Nussmeier, I honestly am speculating if he's possibly hurt this season. He just doesn't have the same zip on the football he had in years past. And you got a guy like Carson Beck. But, if the Jets have the number 1 pick, I'm probably not taking any of these guys. Now, let's just say, for example, Fields, you don't love what you see from him, and maybe the Jets trade off the number 1 spot. They go back to 7, then maybe I would consider taking a quarterback at that number 7 spot. If you really, really like that guy, you like him as a prospect, think you could develop him, that's really the only way I would want the Jets to draft a quarterback in the first round. But as it stands, improve the roster. You got to get better football players there because we have also seen this roster's top heavy because you still have blue chippers on both sides of the ball. Like Garrett Wilson's a blue chipper. I still think Sauce Gardner, even though he's been bad, he's still a blue chipper. Same with Quentin Williams. But the depth behind those guys, it is lacking. Like if you had to say like the Jets' best three players, you could probably go toe to toe with a lot of teams in the NFL. So they got to build out a more complete roster. But if the Jets do draft a quarterback, who would you draft? Name a quarterback you want the Jets to draft down below. Now we'll get to more around the New York Jets and really just tell you fans what you guys need to be looking out for the remainder of the season. But if you guys want to support your favorite football team and get some more jerseys in your life, hit this link, chatsports.com/Jets jerseys. They got Justin Fields, Armand Membu. They got, all the players on the Jets roster. So make sure you guys click this link. Got a good deal going on right now, chatsports.com/Jets jerseys. All right, so with the Jets starting off 0-5, obviously, down times being a Jets fan, but I do want to give you guys something that you need to look out for and what you should focus on for the rest of the season because even though they're 0-5, playoff hopes are very, very slim right now. There's still a lot of, football to be played and a lot of evaluations to be made. And I think the number one thing you have to look at here is like who are your confetti guys. And what I mean by that is everybody watching the show, close your eyes right now and imagine which players on this Jets roster currently are guys that you could see winning a Super Bowl down the line with this football team. And really, I only have two guys as it stands right now. That's Garrett Wilson and Quentin Williams, and also Armand Membu would be in there. A couple of guys on the offensive line, but you got to figure that out. Because if it's not Sauce Gardner, for example, maybe you look to trade him. If it's not guys like Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, maybe you look to trade those guys as well and get more of your own like Aaron Glenn guys in there. So you got to figure that out. Number one, who are your confetti guys who can see yourself building around for the next couple of seasons? And then also developing young talent. Like Armand Membu, I think he's going to develop just fine. But also like the other guys, like Malachi Moore, A.Z. Thomas. Like you got to look at some of those players in the secondary, and you got to get them out there because also the second corner position, the safety position, those are huge positions of need where the Jets will have to, address that in the offseason if you don't love what you've seen from A.Z. Thomas and Malachi Moore. So they got to get those guys out there more. And then also, this is huge here. Does Justin Fields deserve year two? Because he signed that 2-year, $40 million contract. Now, you can move off him this season. Now, this offseason. Now, I also do think no matter what, Fields is probably on the roster next year. Now, if they bring in another quarterback, maybe Fields goes to the backup position. But you got to figure that out. Like, week one next season, who is your starting quarterback? Does Justin Fields deserve that? Has he shown you enough where it's like, hey, maybe he's just kind of figuring out the offense. He'll get better week to week. He'll get better with the whole offseason. So that's a huge question. And then also you just got to still figure out biggest positions of weakness because I think the cornerback spot would probably be number one for me right now. Also, the safety position is terrible. Now, I think ideally if you do trade back, you could get a guy like Caleb Downs at 6 or 7. Like that would be a dream draft day scenario for the New York Jets. So you got to figure it out. Like what if A.Z. Thomas pops the second half of the year? What if Malachi Moore pops? Like, you just got to figure out where the biggest positions of weakness are on this team. So those are the 4 things I'm looking at. But that one up top, who are your confetti guys? Who are the guys you're going to go to war with over the next couple of years? You really got to, narrow down that list that you have on this roster. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate all of you guys for watching. And if you guys didn't make it to the end, hit me with a me down below in the comment section. We're also almost at 10K subscribers. So if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button today. And we'll see you guys live for the game this Sunday morning. Or Sunday morning coming up. So we'll see you guys next time. As always, go Jets.